And it's Gordo here from Borders Games, and we're back for some more Digimon TCG content today. Today is just a updated deck profile moving into BT11 for none other than Machinedramon. One of my personal favourites, a deck that I repeatedly come back to, always enjoy playing because it's got an interesting play style. I was a very big fan of Megazoo back in the day, and it still feels like it has that kind of element to it. And this is just my take on it, what I'll be looking to test going into BT11. I've done some testing with it. So far it has performed well. Whether I say this is top tier deck, Rogue, definitely, and it does have some good matchups, and there are some poor matchups, most definitely, but it's a lot of fun to play. So before we get started, let's get into the profile. If you do like the comment, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you know when this content goes live for you. We are so close to that 400 subscriber marker, so if you have got the time, hit that subscribe, and just so you know when you can check this stuff out. Without further ado, we've got moving into our Digimon. So we only run 4. Now I have seen lists that run the Goro one, I think it is. What the one which it is one, it's like gives it opponent's turn, gives it 1,000 if it's got a blocker in its name. I prefer to cycle. Yes, there are chances it'll whiff because there's off-color cards in this deck, but if I can potentially plus another card, so be it. Or I might just get rid of one I didn't really want to see. So I run Pogo. Rookie lineup, we got 9 rookies there in total. We run 3 Chikuris, and the off chance it can go off in security, de-digivolve. Otherwise, it's just a rookie. 4 Haguru. Haguru is just the best setup card going. If you see this and something to be able to pitch for it, so pitch one of your level 5 cyborgs. Just to try and filter for your machine players or anything at all, as long as it has machine or cyborg, and that's the beauty of it. It can just ditch anything. It's not got the tie-in that Ultimate Connection is, where it has to be a level 5. So it's a really strong card. We run 2 Chikurimon that say you can't reduce play costs. Death X is still a thing. It doesn't hit this deck as much as others do, sure. But the whole idea, I'd rather not let them be playing it for reduced cost overall where possible. And there are still things like Blue Flare in the meta. So, and you've got Mervamon now with Cross Hearts. So you know there are going to be times where it comes up, and this can save you in a pinch. Moving on to level 4s, we only run level 7 level 4s. Obviously, with this deck, as we know, the ratios are very obscure. This is something that's definitely worth testing yourself to get comfortable with, because you do play into a bit more of tower building as well as going into hard playing stuff down in the Megazoo kind of style. So we run 3 Nanimon, and the reason being, it's a 3 cost level 4 you can play down. It's cheap. It can come out of security, which can take games for you, or it can at least start you off on your next turn, because we do play a few level 5s that have decent responses when digivolved into, so it can pay off for us that way. To go along with that, we run the 4 Guardiamon. Nothing spectacular. You barely ever block with this. It is the inheritable you're looking for. If you can get this in the stack, keep swinging, keep pitching cards, drawing to you. You're just going to cycle so many cards and get yourself in a position, whereas hand is not a problem. You know, you've got all the pieces either in trash or in your hand, ready to do your combos time and time again. Moving on to level 5s, you run a total of 15. You're going to see 2 cards that look like they don't belong here. Obviously, they are later explained in the deck. We run 2 Gigadramon, 2k buff on your opponent's turn. It is a lot more relevant now because we don't actually need the blocker as much, because obviously we do have access to Analog Man, which says if you have a level 6 machine, you can suspend this Tamer to make your opponent swing into that stack. Having the 2k buff means that you're a threat. They can't just freely swing. We run the 1 of Angemon because when digivolving reveal top 3, that effect is still useful to try and help us filter, or at least just trash stuff as well, and if we can add something, great. Same for the Metal Tyrannomon. The Metal Tyrannomon's inheritable is a little bit more useful than Gentron, in all honesty, with the reboot side of things, making sure you can't just be swung over freely. So always good to have. Only running the 1 of because space is a bit tight with the tech pieces. We run 2 Raija Ludamon. Now, Digimon isn't here for the Ragnar combo. I know most people prefer to go the blue base and Kaizen L and, you know, play a hell of a lot of potluck to get those things to come off, and it does come off. I know it does. I've tried it in the past, but I feel like it's not consistent enough. You can't afford to throw down level 5s out of nowhere in this current meta. So being able to build in Raising and get yourself to a point where you're a threat, and then throw that out afterwards, really can put your opponent on the back foot. It does also have the heritable opponent's turn. This Digimon can't be deleted by your opponent's effects, which is always nice. Obviously options still work, but your opponent's effects don't trigger on it. The one to watch out for, those Black War Grey X, does get around that because that triggers on your turn, not your opponent's turn. So if you're looking to set up, please do not put this on board and leave it there. When playing against Black War Grey X, they're either going to just swing over it, or they're just going to swing security and wait for it to die the next turn. But it's in here really for the end of turn. You may DNA Digivolve this Digimon and one of your other Digimon in play into a Digimon card in your hand for its Digivolution costs. This allows us to not only just pass turns, because if we can get to our level 6 on this stack here, and realistically ideal stack you want to go to is you want to, well, I'll get to level 6 in a minute, but the new BT11 Machinedramon and then into a Chaosdramon. The reason being is that BT11 Machinedramon will allow you to reveal, you can add something underneath, then if you have them to go to Chaosdramon, you can add 3 more things underneath. So there is obviously some setup to it and having the memory available, but that's why we have the new Terra and that's applicable to us. But if you can get these pieces off, it's obscene. I have taken out a full 5 security with this combo quite a few times, to be fair. Not otherwise, I do usually it's a minimum of 3 security that I trash. So 3 security, then a swing with the Ragnar, and that's pretty big. And if you de-digivolve it, you've just got an insane stack with Chaosdramon or something like that. So it's very interesting how people play around it. We run 1 Megadramon. It's generally just blocker, so it means the Ragnar can sit there as a blocker, because Angemon won't proc for the Ragnar because it's not a machine or Dragonkin. No, machine. Yeah, is it machine or Dragonkin? It's just the machine. Sorry, that's these ones are Dragonkin. Moving into our threat level 5s. So like I said, the Nanimon's in there because it's cheap to play out, or it can play from security. If you hit one of those from security, you can use these next 3 cards. However, you feel fit to use the tech pieces for. One to de-digivolve with the Metal Greymon, and then delete a 3k less, so it helps you try and control the board, or at least put them behind on the levels. You can go with the Megadramon if they've got nothing on board, or if they've just got a rookie, you can pop that, or if they've set up with them like a cool boy, you can just take those out. It's always handy to do because the amount of value that cool boys put into it. And then we have the new one from BT11, which is the Metal Tyrannomon. So on play when digivolving, which is always nice, it has gone on play as well. For each green and or black team you have in play, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then one of your opponent's suspended Digimon cannot unsuspend during your opponent's next unsuspend phase. So it allows you just to pin your opponent, which is great, and it allows you to suspend one. So you can suspend one, pin the other, and it's really just a nice little tempo card because you can then just go and swing over it. So if you don't have, let's say for example, the Metal Greymon, the BT8 one, which allows you to attack unsuspended Digimon, this will allow you just to pin one down and you can just swing over it. And then inherent on this one, when this Digimon deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, trash the top of your opponent's security stack. So the more you control the board, the more you can just keep trashing their security and getting yourself to the point of where Ragnar's going to be alive just to take game. We run one of the 3k generic buff because it puts Ragnar up to the 15k marker. 15k puts us up to the 18k marker. Ragnar's 15, I believe, yes. It puts Chaosdramon up to the 15 marker. The new and the other machines up to 14. So it puts them in a bit more of a dominating DP range because the 11k on both machines is kind of tragic sometimes. Final couple level 5s, we run the one of Megadramon. On play, delete up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DPLS. This is quite good when you play against some of the Rookie Rush matchups, like for example D-Brigade. You can throw this down, pop 2 things, try and slow down the board a little bit. and then try and establish with one of your level 6s, and if you have the analog band, you can force them to swing into your body, which is always nice. Metal Greymon, we have just the one arm that gives piercing, but also has the when attacking. When this Digimon attacks a player, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4,000 EP or less. So once again, it's a little bit more of control on the board. It's a risky swing, but this deck half the time doesn't care if it's taking a risk, because you're going to hard play a machine or something along those lines when it comes down to it. Moving on to our level 6s now. So I've gone through a 3-3-3 split. I feel like this is the area you can make the most alterations, because I have seen listed want to run 2, I've seen listed run 4 Machinedramon because of how good it is. I've seen listed barely run this new one at all, but I think realistically they all have a good spot in it. They all have their own little part to play, and I think keeping it even at this point for 9 megas is a good shout. So we'll go through the first one. So it's BT11 Machine. It has an on-play and one Digivolve, which is always nice. I mean, don't get me wrong, you will barely ever see yourself playing this down. You can play it down, and obviously you can use the analog mana to trigger to make something into you if they was going to try and take game. But realistically, you're doing it to try and reveal the top 5 cards, add one analog mana among them to your hand, and one card of machine or sideboard its traits among them to your hand, or to the bottom of Digimon's Dissolution cards. So effectively, you can reveal, get a tamer, you can stack a level 5 underneath, or add a machine. So if you want to set it for another turn, you can have the machine, and if you have the analog, you can force them to swing into this. Is undeletion triggers, which is by returning one of your analog mana in play to the bottom of its own deck, you may play one Machinedramon from your hand without paying its memory cost. So you then opt to play into this one, trigger all its effects, and you look to gain the memory back from it. So because it's not your turn, it is an on play, so it can literally work as a hammer spark to take steal turns back sometimes. We all know what this Machinedramon does is you may place up to 5 level 5 red and or black cards with sideboard in their traits with different card numbers from your hand or trash in this Digimon Dissolution cards to gain 1 memory for each card place. So it's up to a maximum of 5. It does allow us to play down the machine for 7 costs, but we do get all the solid inheritables that we've been through earlier. This card has DP reduced, so it's great for the yellow matchups, and if it would delete, you can trash 2 level 5 cards in this Digimon Dissolution cards to prevent this Digimon from being deleted. So it also has a place in, let's say, the red matchups, like for being popped, like War Greymon X. So good card. One of the last pieces from EX3 that was added to the deck before this new BT11 Machinedramon is Chaosdramon. So Digivolve 1 from Machinedramon, which is always nice. It's got an on-play when Digivolve in, like the rest have. You may place up to 3 red and or black, so 3 red or black level 5 cards with sideboard inner traits and different card numbers from your hand or trash under this Digimon as its bottom Dissolution card to de-Digivolve by 1 for your opponents for each card play. So you can do de-Digivolve 3, which is, when you think about it, is pretty good, damn strong. Yes, Black or Grey does have the Metal Greymon X, which can shut this down, but that is why we have things like the Metal Greymon, so we can just go ahead and just swing straight over that body then. We've got the Metal Greymon for the 3k buff, we've got the Metal Greymon to attack and unsuspended. We just have the utility to try and go over these bodies rather than just keep swinging at security and just ignore them, because eventually they will out-tempo us. This has the all turns effect is when this Digimon will be deleted or returned to your hand or deck, you may trash 2 level 5 cards in this Digimon's Dissolution cards to prevent it from leaving play. So it stops deletion, it stops it from being returned to your hand or deck, so the bounces are shut down at that point, which is great because that's what the other Machinedramon doesn't have. It doesn't have the capacity to say no to being bounced, so Melga can be a problem there, but this one just says nada, ain't happening. So it's a very strong card overall. Moving to the last few slots here, so we have 2 Ragnar. Ragnar's overall just a very strong card. I mean, I love the Ragnar starter decks. I wish they were a bit more consistent and a bit more dominating just to be able to play it a little bit more, because it just does feel like it lacks something, or it's just that little bit too slow, or it came out at the wrong point in some areas. But it's never had that really strong dominating position. But I mean, its effects are amazing if you can get them set up, and that's the thing. There's a lot of setup that goes with them. But for this deck here, it does come up a lot easier than others. How easily you can build just stacks out of nowhere. So when Digivolving you get Blitz, which is nice when you just get to swing, and when DNA Digivolving, for every 4 cards in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, delete one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost of 20 or less, and trash the top of your card of your opponent's security stack. That's for every 4 in stack. Like I said earlier, the lowest I've got to with 2 stacks is about 12 cards. So I'm deleting 3 things that cost 20 or less. I'm going to trash 3 bits of security. I also have Blitz, so I get to swing, and then on top of that, all times, once per turn, when a card is removed from a player's security stack, unsuspend this Digimon. That is your opponent's security stack, that is your security stack. So if we do have the Mega Digimon underneath it, so we swing security, pass turnover, we unsuspend because something was removed from their security. They swing, we can block. They swing, they hit security, we unsuspend, and we can go ahead and block again. So we can play to the strength of just keep unsuspending and just taking every so often just to try and slow your opponent down. But generally you use this as a kill turn. You do some rookie rush kind of things. Chikori start swinging, build up the Chaos Digimon with a Rider Ludamon in Raising, and then look to hard play a Machine Digimon to go along with it. And to try and excel that kind of win condition, we do run 2 of the 0 cost option, which allows our Machine or Cyborg level 6 Digimon to sorry, just Machine, not Cyborg. It's trash to the Cyborgs, but yeah, lets our Machine level 6s get Rush and Blitz. So it means you play them down, they can swing, they get all their effects, they have Blitz. Even if it passes turn, you get to do everything you need to do, and it just puts a lot of pressure on, especially if you have the Rider in one of those stacks. You'd have to have it in the one that's already built elsewhere because you can't add it in because it isn't a Cyborg. But if you do have that in part of the stacks, at end of turn DNA Digivolve, you go into the Ragnar, you gain the Blitz again, you trash what you need to depending on how many sources you've got, swing, unsuspend, and then sit there and see if hopefully your opponent's either got nothing in hand to respond or you just closed out game. One of the biggest things to be added to this deck, I think, overall, because it basically replaces Ultimate Connection to an extent. I mean, yes, it does cost 4 to play down, which can be a massive loss in tempo, but having the effect to start your main phase by trashing 1 level 5 card with Cyborg in its trace from your hand and gain 1 memory draw. So that alone allows you to start setting up your trash, allows you to keep cycling cards, and you're rewarded for doing this time and time again. Because obviously the more things we have in trash, the more of flexibility and options we've got for our Machine Digimon to play into, the Chaos Digimon to tuck underneath it. And it's just generally a very powerful card. But it also does have the opponent's turn effect, is when your opponent's Digimon attacks a player, by suspending this tailmate you may switch the target of the attack to one of your level 6 Digimon with Machine its traits. So if the enemy is going to attack, if you know, for instance, so let's say we've got BT11 Machine Digimon out, let's say they're going to swing, we want to just try and get as much value out as possible. We're not going to trade, or we will trade. By that point, happy days. But we force the block, we use the undeletion by returning the analog that we've suspended to force the block, and then we play out the EX1 Machine Digimon just to steal turn back, get a big stack on board, and then look to punish them for it, because you would have played it on their turn anyway. If you get them in back, it goes over to your turn, that Machine Digimon doesn't need the rush card or anything like that. It will have the ability to swing because it's been on board for the turn, for part of the turn. Finally, run 2 Analog Youth. Now, normally I don't agree with Analog Youth in Machine Digimon, because there was obviously the times of running Ultimate Connections, running Ultimate Flares, running the attack of the Heavy Machine Mobile Digimon. There was just too many options that you was going to just potentially trash, because if you didn't see the 0 cost option at one point, you would lose the game because you weren't quick enough. The Ultimate Connection, if you didn't see those, you weren't able to filter enough. But now we have things like the Analog Man, and we only run minimal options. I don't see any harm with the Analog Youth. We can get the trigger for it to When one of your level 5 or higher Digimon with dissolution cards deleted, you may suspend this teammate. If you do gain 1 memory, then hatch 1 Digi-Egg. So we can use that at some point. It doesn't come up very often, to be honest, because half the time they've stripped it out by repeatedly burning your stack up. And it's got a hand fix as well, so reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 Digimon card among them to your hand, and trash the remaining cards. So we fix our hand, we also trash stuff as well, so it can work out to excel in that game. But that is BT11 Machinedramon. As I said, that's incorporating the Ragnar style play of it, because I don't think consistency wise the blue package is the way to go, but I do think Ragnar definitely has a place in it. You could cut this down to 1 of if you just wanted it for more of a tech rather than a focus. I think 2 is reasonable and it's not too heavy into it. And that's obviously the same for the Rise of Lumen. I was trialing 3, but I cut it down to 2 because I found that I kept seeing it far too often. So it'd be interesting to see how that plays out from testing. Overall, if you do like the profile, if you find the deck interesting, please leave me a comment down below. And if you have any input from yourself as to how you want to play this deck, what text you're looking to try, throw it down there below. Let's talk about it. But otherwise, thank you for stopping by Gordo's Games, and I will see you all next time.